Good morning. It's 10 o'clock, so we're going to start this webinar. Welcome to the Luxembourg webinar with our partner Xicato. My name is Mats Gouverneur. I'm working for Luxembourg for a couple of years now and for the 8 Days Group for many years. For those who don't know us, we're a distributor for different brands like Xicato, Meulen, Megatronics, View. In this webinar, Patrick van der Meulen will talk about the quality of light and the circular economy. So I would like to give the word to Patrick van der Meulen, Business Development Manager at Xicato.
Thank you, Mats, for the introduction. So as introduced, my name is Patrick van der Meulen. I work for Xicato as a Business Development Manager. And today we're going to talk about the Xicato quality of light. So please enjoy, and if you have any questions, please put them into the chat, and we can discuss these questions at the end. So the presentation of today will be about the light quality and circular economy with regards to light sources and LED control gear. LED control gear, I will just touch a little bit, but we have another seminar in a few weeks where we can actually talk more about the control gear. So for those who don't know Xicato yet, just a brief introduction about Xicato. So Xicato is a manufacturer from US, California, and we have always been defining the future of smart buildings, delivering the absolute best quality, highest performance, and most reliable light sources, drivers, controls, electronics, and software. With installations in over 30 countries, Xicato solutions inspire architects, designers, and building owners to create beautiful, healthy environments with smart, connected experiences. So today, I'm going to discuss the quality of light in relation to LED light sources and touch briefly on the circular economy in relation to LED light sources and LED drivers. As you might be aware of, there's a new regulation starting, calling the single lighting regulation, driven by the EU, to make sure that the quality of light sources will improve from the manufacturers, and therefore LED lighting products will, and actually in general lighting products will improve their quality. But the standard, of course, is written in a way that a lot of people can comply with the standard, and some of it is actually lower than actually Xicato's quality standards. But I will touch briefly on those items. So one of the few key points for those who are not familiar with the single lighting regulations, there's a few key points that I want to touch on. And one of them is actually, it's a simplified scope. So it's only light sources and control gear. So nothing about optics or cooling or mechanics, anything. It's also reduced the number of parameters which you have to comply on, especially on efficacy. And of course, if you have a higher color rendering, which is of course will improve the quality of light, you get a little bit of additional points compared to lower color rendering, but not enough to actually make it a better product. And it will finally ban halogen, compact fluorescent, and some of the T8 lamps, the so-called fluorescent lamps. It will increases the limits for LED lamps and modules. And luminaires containing a product must be designed in such a way that the light source and control gear can be replaced using standard tools or technical certification. Why not? So if you have a fixture where you actually cannot replace the light source and a driver, you actually have to get a written documentation why you actually cannot replace the light source. But actually the general scope is that actually you should be able to replace the light source and or control gear during the lifespan of the product. Furthermore, the LED lamps and modules need to have a Lumen maintenance requirement following an endurance testing of 3,000 hours or 3,600 hours, including switching. So again, this is a, let's say, limited scope for the lifetime, but at least it gives you the bigger picture. Then actually single light regulation was also introducing a requirement on flicker, but for the moment it's not in the spec as of September 2021. There will be additional requirements on flicker, but that will be at least 1 or 2 years pushed out, which is again not good if you think about the quality of light. But because of some quite a lot of manufacturers to have a control gear on the market that don't comply, they said, okay, we're going to postpone that regulation for some time. So let's first focus on light quality, where I touch briefly on color consistency, color rendering, uniformity of light output, sustained performance, and of course flicker free. So Xicato is a LED agnostic and phosphor agnostic company. This means that actually that Xicato can use the best LEDs in the market, but also the best phosphors that are available in the market. So Xicato only makes the modules, not the LED and not the phosphor. So we sell to lighting manufacturers, so-called OEMs, who design in the modules into a luminaire and who can use compatible components, drivers, heat sinks, reflectors from the global ecosystem of Xicato solution partners. And this is also where Luxandi has a broad portfolio of components such as heat sinks and drivers that are compatible with our light sources. So Xicato uses a corrected cold phosphor, which means that actually the phosphor is cooled down, and actually the phosphor temperature is equal to the case temperature. And why did we do that? Because a lower temperature of the phosphor will actually have a lower risk of color shift. Xicato's temperature, so TC point, case temperature, is 90 degrees Celsius, which is quite high. And with a higher TC temperature, actually it means that you can also design smaller fixtures and you have a greater design freedom. Xicato's corrected cold phosphor technology is also key to maintaining the color point consistency over time. The importance of a warranty for color consistency over time can be explained using this example. Most people would agree that inconsistent color would result in a callback to a customer's job site far more frequently than a consistent color scenario. So Xicato's warranty is designed to address inconsistent color over time, and this is one of the best in the industry. So color consistency, to talk about the reduced risk, refers how two sources compare to each other. So you can only talk about color consistency if you actually compare to light sources. With one light source, it doesn't really matter at all. It can have a certain color, but doesn't explain the consistency. So it's most relevant in accent and wall wash lighting, because that is where you can see the lights on the walls. And if the consistency is very poor, of course, you will see color differences between the different light sources. A way to describe a color consistency is using the macadam ellipsis, which refers to a region in a chromaticity diagram, which contains all colors which are indistinguishable. The eye is typically more sensitive to DUV, so that's going off the black body locus, compared to a color temperature difference along the black body locus. In the US, Energy Star was the first one that actually made a specification about the needed color consistency within a project. But what they did was actually describing 7 macadam, but 7 macadam is way off of what I can see. We were following the regulations or the rules of the Lighting Research Center, who did a broad research where people could actually see color differences, and they said it needs to be less than 2 macadam for accent lighting, 4 for general lighting, and 7 macadam is only acceptable for exterior functional lighting. The parallelogram actually reproduces the Xicato color consistency, where we actually allow for 2 macadam along the black body locus, where your eye is less sensitive, and 1 macadam to the black body locus. For single lighting regulation, again, they've specified 6 macadam, which is again way off what we expect as quality standards. So here are some examples of bad color consistency, which you can see again when I mentioned wall washing. You see in the background, you see greenish and purple tints of color. Another one where you actually can see a huge color shift. Of course, these are very bad extreme examples, but it just shows what is meant by this color consistency. And then this one actually in a quite expensive hotel where lights have been replaced during the lifetime of the product, and then you can see actually that there's a huge color shift. If all would shift in one direction, everything would be okay and acceptable. But if things move in different directions, of course, it's not acceptable at all anymore. Another metric to describe the color quality is the CRI. And CRI is a quantitative measure of the ability of a light source to reproduce the colors of various objects in comparison with an ideal or natural source. Therefore, it's a measure of fidelity or naturalness. There are a few ways how to describe the color rendering. One is using the fidelity indices, using the RA, so the average color rendering, specifically also the R9, or when it comes to TM30, the RF, so-called fidelity. So these two metrics indicate how accurate colors are rendered compared to a reference source of the same correlated color temperature. So it's important when you compare CRIs that you also use the same color temperature, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So there are a few points that you need to take into account when comparing light sources based on the fidelity metric. A value of 100 means that the target source is identical to the reference source in rendering the colors to which the metric applies. A non-100 value indicates that the absolute value of the difference between the target and reference source, but not in what direction it's different. So if you have a lower value, it doesn't show you in which direction it's actually off for the color. For example, one color might be more saturated than the other and still have the same index value. One might be shifted in one way and the other in the same, but in another direction. So the fidelity is only valid for the colors tested in the index. So the CRI, the RA, actually is an average of R1 to R8. But with TM30, they increased this number of colors to 99 saturated colors. So this is actually a much better value. To enhance the way how to describe the color, the value of RG, the so-called gamut, was introduced. And the gamut is actually an index of saturation and can be either higher or lower than 100. So while with RA and RF, the maximum is 100, with RG, you can actually go above 100. Because here you see the description where you have a circle, which is actually the reference source, and then the red circle, which actually describes the measured color. And you can see that it can be more saturated in one direction and less saturated in another direction. And this is a good way to describe the color metrics. So Xicato has, of course, been producing various light sources through the existence, going from a standard series, which is not in this picture, with a CRI of above 80, to other series, which is a perfect natural light. And then we started to design products that are more targeted towards its application, such as vibrant, with crisper whites and better color contrast, or beauty, where this is more for makeup, or an artist series with a 5,600 Kelvin color temperature, which can actually be used indoors, for example, for plant walls, which has a biological effectiveness. And then a trade-off between efficacy and color rendering, which is the designer. So the designer actually has a CRI of above 90, but still has a good efficacy. So the products that we have in our portfolio are this. So with a CRI of above, we always say above 95, but it's typical 98, and an R9 of 98 as well. It's the perfect light source for museum, retail, and also residential. It's very close to halogen, and it's offered in a color temperature of 2,200 Kelvin up to 5,600 Kelvin. Vibrant, again, available in a CRI above 80 and a CRI above 95. So we discuss here the Vibrant Artist series, which has a CRI above 96, and also an R9 of above 96. It's available in 3,000 Kelvin, and this product, when you would compare it to our standard Artist series, actually is below the black body locus. So some manufacturers will call it a crisp white or a BBL product. So this is kind of comparable. We were the first in the industry actually to launch a product from this type. It's mainly used in retail and art galleries. And what you can create is actually create a better contrast for specific colors. Then beauty. So beauty series was actually developed in conjunction with a lighting design office practice from the UK and a manufacturer of cosmetics called Estee Lauder. We started with a research on which color would actually be perfect for the application, and then we started a research with I think around 50 people to look at the perfect light for this type of application. So we developed a light source of 2,700 Kelvin, but then again below black body locus, similar as to our Vibrant series. So with a CRI of above 95 and R9 above 95, but some colors are enhanced, such as skin tones. And the outcome was actually that this product was a very good trade-off between a warmer light and a cooler light, because sometimes, you know, for the people, you actually want to have a warmer light, so for skin tones, but actually for the products that are on the shelves, on the display, people tend to use a higher color temperature, but that doesn't show so good on people. So the application could be makeup, beauty center, but also meat. Then, as discussed before, we also developed the designer series, mainly driven by specification, where a CRI of above 90 was required with a minimum of 100 lumens per watt. So this is where designer really fits in very well, although the Artist series has increased efficiency over time as well. So with the CRI above 90 and R9 above 50, it's a very good trade-off. And actually, if you would compare Artist series to designer, there would not be many people that actually could see a difference. So it's available from 2,700 up to 4,000 Kelvin, and the general use of this type of light sources, offices and public areas. And then the last product was one of our latest developments of let's say of the type of phosphor, which is actually the Artist series, but then targeted around 5,600 Kelvin. And the use of this product is actually for plant walls. So people see more and more these plant walls inside buildings. And the problem is that the plants don't get enough light, or don't get the right light, so they will die over time. Of course, then you can start to look at these special horticulture lamps. But the problem with these horticulture lamps is actually they are designed to grow plants. But what you want in an office building is you want to maintain the plants. You don't want to really grow the plants. You know, that you lock the door on a Friday and on Monday you come back and you end up in the jungle. So we've been trying several light sources in this research together with the University College of London, and having a lot of people been interviewed, because also the walls need to look nice. So this is a good trade-off where you don't have too much growth of the plant, and the plant still looks okay, and it doesn't die on you. So again, a CRI above 95. And it can also be used in film studios, like recording studios or TV studios. So that's why the metric of TLCI, which is a metric for the rendering for cameras in TV studios. And of course, it's only available in 5600 Kelvin. Applications, it can be offices and public areas. That's about the different light sources, basically, in terms of color rendering and color points. Now let's have a look at the warranty. So Xicato's color consistency and lumen maintenance warranty is the industry's first. Xicato is so confident in its product that it warrants the product for 10 years, which is roughly 88,000 hours, operating 24/7 and 365 days a year. Xicato's warranty is published on its website for customers across the globe to read. So Xicato follows the industry standard LM80 and TM21 for lumen maintenance. So for color, we use the 9076 U prime V prime color space. So, but Xicato's specifications are conservative, with L70 at 50,000 hours and a 0.003 delta U prime V prime at 50,000 hours. So that means that within a space we don't allow any larger color shift than 3 macadam, and this is actually where some of the other manufacturers will start. So Xicato has LM80 and TM21 data to back up its claims, but many manufacturers don't have any reliability data to back up their claims. So U prime V prime is a measure of distance of each point in time of the module's color point relative to its original color point. And LM80 only captures the lumen data. So the only established specification for color maintenance is Energy Star in the US. And like I said before, it specifies 7 macadam, where single light regulation accepts 6 macadam, which is actually 0.006, whereas Xicato's warranty is 0.003. So Xicato's first product was the XSM, and was produced in 2007 with nearly 400 lumens. But today we have a complete different range of products, where the latest product that we launched to the market is so-called XOB, which is a packaged LED array with a COB architecture. It matches the Xicato color points of the other light sources, and it's also delivered in a 1x2 macadam. And due to the smaller LES sizes, it allows for more narrow beams. Due to the COB architecture, it is more efficient, and you can design smaller fixtures. Of course, it doesn't have any intelligence built in, but it's compatible with a lot of drivers on the market, including our XID drivers and upcoming XAD drivers. The XOB comes with a 5-year flux and 2-year color warranty. The 2-year color warranty is only 2 years right now because we don't have more data. It's a new product and we're testing as we speak. The next product in line is our XTM, which is a light module. It can be supplied as XTM with a holder and wires attached to it, but we can also supply it as a COB only. The XTM with holder is compatible to Saga Book 3, but it also, and that's with the 2 holes, but it also has the 3 holes, which is compatible with the existing Xicato standards. It uses remote phosphor, as described before, and it's available in Artist, Designer, and Standard series. Again, with a 1x2 macadam. But different to XOB, the XTM actually delivers a 10-year flux and color warranty. Again, it doesn't have any intelligence, but it's compatible with third-party drivers and the Xicato XID and XAD range of drivers. And then the fully integrated module, the so-called XIM, is actually using the same light source, but then in a different housing. And this is what we call a smart light engine. Again, from light point of view, it has the Xicato color quality, 1x2 macadam on the color consistency, and a 10-year flux and color warranty, but also operating. So even the electronics inside are warranted for 10 years. It can be connected to switches and sensors. It can be connected to can be controlled through a iOS application, as well as Mac and Windows applications for provisioning and commissioning. It contains beacons because it has a Bluetooth chip built in, but also can be controlled through existing 0 to 10 volt or DALI control. We can collect data like operating hours, operating data, running hours, these kind of things, and can be connected to a cloud platform using open APIs and integrated with building management systems. So this is, let's say, the fully integrated module. It doesn't need any external driver anymore except a power supply because it runs directly out of 48 volt DC. So let's think about the single light regulations. Well, of course, one of the recommendations was that it was easy to exchange the modules. So as I said before, Xicato has been producing modules since 2007. And actually, since 2007, we were keeping the 3 holes as a standard. At that time, of course, Zaga didn't exist yet, so we were really loyal to our 3 holes. And from the 400 lumens, which we started off with in 2007, we now can deliver up to 5,000 lumen. So all modules are mechanically, photometrically identical, or we call it future-proof. So flux packages are also future-proof, enabling an OEM to always know they will have a specific flux package as the underlying technology changes. So we will stick to 1,300, 2,000, 3,000, and so on lumen packages. Although the efficiency might improve over time, then we will just change the package. So luminaire manufacturer can design 1 luminaire, 1 reflector, or 1 heatsink, and then use multiple flux packages. So the modules can be easily replaced with a standard screwdriver. Both XTM and XIM have a thermal interface material, so we use a graphite material on the back, and that will be replaced with the module. So you don't need any thermal paste, for example. So let's touch briefly upon flicker. As I described before, the single light regulation doesn't specify the flicker yet, but Xicato has been already working on reducing the flicker and therefore enhancing the light quality. And the flicker is, of course, caused by the driver. As you know, when you dim an LED, the easiest way to do it is use pulse width modulation. But with pulse width modulation, you actually turn the LED on and off at a fast rate, or even a lower speed, and this can cause issues. What you see on the right here is actually 2 sets of fans, where on the right you see that the fans are rotating, and on the left it looks like they're standing still. And this has to do with the flicker caused by PWM in the LED driver. So Xicato has overcome that by using a very high frequency. So from 100% to 20% dimming, so 100% light down to 20% light, we use constant current, so there's no flicker at all. But from 20 down to 1%, we actually change to a PWM frequency, but actually the frequency is above 3,000 hertz. And 3,000 hertz, as you can see in the table here, which is a industry standard from an IEC standard from IEEE standard from US, where you can see that above 2,500 hertz, there's no risk anymore, and the risk can be physiological to actually to people. It can create a fatigue. It could create sicknesses, headaches, or even epileptical attacks. If you go down, so between 1.5%, we use a lower frequency, but then the light level is so low that the effect is much less. So we've now discussed the directional light sources. As some of you might be aware of, Xicato also started to look at tape, and this is another example of our industry-leading solutions. The product actually includes a static white different color temperatures and different wattages. A high density linear, where you actually have a constant row of LEDs, again in different wattages and different color temperatures. And then there's full spectrum. So full spectrum is actually where the blue peak has been cut off as well, and can be used, and it's also with higher color temperatures, can be used in hospitals or care homes, for example. Side emitting, which can be used to for LED panels. Ultra slim, which is only 4 millimeters wide, so it can be used in very ultra slim channels, tunable wide. For of course, for specific applications where you want to change the color over a time. Let's think about circadian solutions, and then dim to warm. Where the difference between dim to warm and tunable wide is actually a three wire solution, and dim to warm is a 2-wire solution. So when you look at the complete specification, it's actually a very high quality solution. And as I said before, it comes in a broad range of color temperatures and common wattages. It also offers less than 2 McAdam on most of the segments. The only product where we don't have 2 McAdam is actually on the side emitting, but that's because these LEDs actually don't exist. So there's no LEDs about that are actually available in side emitting that actually can have this lower McAdams. The colors are actually the same colors as the Xicato light sources. So actually, if you combine these products in installations, you will have the same color. And it's a much performance when you go look at CRI, also and fidelity and gamut. So it's again using a CRI above 95. We've chosen 24 volt across the entire portfolio, and the products are available in an IP22 and an IP67 solution. With IP67, there's a sleeve around the light source. And then we use a superior construction for high reliability, long lifespan, and heat management. Actually, all these products have been tested and can be used without any channel. So you can actually, if you want, just glue them directly onto wood. And this is also because we use much more copper in the carrier of the product. As with our XTM and XAM range, we actually give a 10-year warranty across all the XFL products. And in conjunction with the tapes, we also deliver a power supplies, but also extrusions, connectors, and covers. Of course, it's also supported by Xicato's Bluetooth mesh control, but that's something we will discuss in the next webinar. So as you can see, Xicato is supplying end-to-end solutions in terms of hardware. So we have our lights, of course, the directional lights and the tape lights, but we also have drivers, controls, and we can offer services. So we are your, let's say, end-to-end solution partner if it comes to lighting solutions. As I said before, we have many projects around the world and many countries, and this is just an overview of a few projects. If you want to know more about specific projects and solutions, don't hesitate to contact us. Which brings me to the end of the presentation, and I think it's now time to go into the questions. So let's go from the top. In terms of the first question is from Wim Hellebrekers. What is the reference source for CRI? Yeah, basically it's a black body radiator. So yeah, you could say an incandescent lamp, but that's a reference source. You're absolutely correct. Then a question: how is the CRI related to a lower CCT to higher CCT? Can a 2700 Kelvin be as high as CRI 98 in comparison to 3500 CRI 98, for example? Yeah, this is due to the phosphor. So Xicato, of course, can pick the phosphorus we want. So yes, we will still have a high CRI for a lower CCT and for a high CCT. As you can see, that even with 5600 Kelvin, we can create a higher CRI by using a different types of phosphor. Then the question: is the Lumen maintenance due to the driver also included? So in terms of the XIM, yes. So with the XIM, our integrated module, we warrant L70 B0 F0. And question from Katrien Lotens: why L70? Today L80 is more accepted. So our warranty is around L70, and like before, it's with B0 F0, so with zero failures. Of course, there are manufacturers that claim L80 or even L90, but usually they will, well, always they will have a higher B figure. So that means that you could actually have failures in your insulation. And in terms of to explain, L80 B10 means that actually 10% of your insulation can be worse than L80 before you can actually make a claim on the warranty. So that's why we said, okay, we stay on the safe side. We claim L70 and a B0. But if customers want to have a better warranty, we can always look into it. And then Katrien asks more questions about flicker regarding to the SLR. Yeah, so there's still discussions on flicker in the SLR standard. So it's still not there yet, and we also need to look into what actually what they mean with this new standard, because it's different than what was used so far in the industry. Katrien has a question about SVM, so CIE stroboscopic visibility measure. So I don't have any insight of that, but I can take it offline with Katrien and then see if we can provide an answer. Then the question: is the XFL controlled by voltage or current? So the XFL is the constant voltage product. So as I said before, the products are in the 24 volt. So the LED modules, when it comes to XDM and XOB, they are all with a constant current from, let's say, 300 up to 2,400 milliamperes. XFL again is a constant voltage source, but in conjunction with using for example, our XID driver, you can actually have a 48 volt, or you can even program it to 24 volt for powering. What is the relation between voltage and lumen output? So we have all the curves, all the graphs in the data sheet. So the dimming curves are in the data sheet. At low dim level, a lot of drivers do not fulfill the EMC requirements. Yeah, our product is fully certified by the laboratories. So also on the lower dimming, we fulfill the MC requirements, and that's by using high quality components. And then a question from Mark, the Tavernier: is the vibrancy still available, or shall we use other types? So in terms of XTM and XIM, the vibrant is still available, and even with XOB, Xicato launched a V9 range. So basically only available in the Artist series on XOB. So yes, it's still available. And that's I think the end of the questions. So if there's any more questions, I want to hand over to Mats again. Thank you very much for your attendance, and if you have any questions, feel free to forward them to us.
Yes, thank you, Patrick, for the webinar and all the information that you've given us. if there are other questions, you can always call us or send us an email. Again, I want to remind you on the second webinar that we're hosting on the 17th of June with Xicato again, with Patrick, about the Xicato controls, the Bluetooth controls. So thank you all for watching us, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us.